Boys and Ghouls here again, and this is your host, Sarah Stephenson, and this is my co-host, Michael Stephenson.
Hi, it's me again.
And today we're breaking away from our movie reviews to do a TV review for you.
Your TV series, yeah.
Yes.
They released season 1. Season 2 is due to come out this year, 2020. But we'll get into that later. And there might be even a season 3. So we thought, well, we might as well talk about it to get people interested in it.
Yeah, hold up, Mike.
No,
We haven't said what the name of it yet
I
is.
know, that's what I'm saying. We're going to try to get people in it.
So our TV series we're reviewing is, drumroll please, is A Discovery of Witches. The awesome TV show. I've been wanting to do this one for ages, so you know.
Well, and actually the criteria sort of falls into the right area because it's really a drama, stroke fantasy, stroke romance TV series to do with witches and vampires and all these good groovy things.
And for those who have watched Twilight and read the books, this is good for young adults as well as older adults. This is much more appealing for you guys if you guys get tired of reading Twilight.
Yeah, well, I think Twilight's done its day. It's just how many things you do of the same sort of general theme. But anyway, we won't go on to taking the pee out of Twilight.
No.
It's been a very good series.
As much as I don't like taking the. As you said, I just don't think it's appropriate to say nasty things.
No,
as I said before,
we're not reviewing Twilight.
Yes, and bear in mind, I don't want to troll about it.
No, we're not trolling. But I think everyone's seen Twilight now. Is going to see it anyway. So really, I think it's now. It's not even worth reviewing because everybody knows it's there. Yeah.
So, let's dive into this. Our main stars for this film is What's our main stars?
Sorry,
what are our main stars in this?
What do you mean? What are our main stars? Who are they?
Yeah, who are they?
Well, I mean, I could go through a whole list of people, but the two main people. There's a lady called Teresa Palmer, and she plays Diana Bishop, who is I'll say she's a witch in denial. She's a witch, but she doesn't use witchcraft. But even though it's in the family bloodlines, she's not interested in pursuing that
line of work.
Line of work. Yeah, good way to put it.
Yeah,
and the other one is a Matthew Good. He's playing, believe it or not, Matthew Clairmont, who is a vampire, and he just happens to work at the same university as Diana Bishop does.
Well, actually, she just happens to be doing tenure, at the university, not exactly living there, just but she's writing an article for
using their library. They're billeted. They're studying at the same university
or similar university, and he's a professor in biochemistry.
He's studying blood diseases. What else would a vampire be interested in? I ask you.
Yeah, so this story is like a Romeo and Juliet taken from story of sorts.
Similarities.
Like two cross species who can't blend for gosh knows reason.
They might have used the Capulets, I think it was in Romeo and Juliet, and we've got the Clairmonts and the Bishops. The Hatfields and McCoys and the old. No, sorry, we won't go there.
Yes, we won't go there. So our story begins where Diana is in the library researching for an article she's gonna write, and she's got this book that she's reviewing called let me see, what's it called? A manuscript at the
Yes, she finds an old manuscript. She finds it is enchanted or something rather.
Yeah, something like that.
It's got some sort of magical thingy with it. Yeah, I think it came out in the beginning that a bit like Harry Potter, somebody who wants it for the wrong purposes can't find it, but she's an historian and a good person. She was able to locate it. Is that something like that?
Yeah.
Is that how it came over to you?
Yeah, roughly.
Because the other people couldn't find it and they've been searching for it, and she got it because she was pure of heart and all that sort of groovy things.
Well, it's more than that. I mean, imagine.
A bit like the Philosopher's
as I said
Stone
before,
and
this is the first season, so we haven't got a real reason why she's or suddenly be able to access this book, unlike the other species.
Well, that's what I said. I think it's a case that you have to be pure of heart, not want it for evil purposes.
Might.
Yeah,
So she opens the book and weird starts to occur. Like the book smells kind of odd for some reason.
Just like my cat.
Not go there.
Okay.
And the fact that there's a mixture of she finds two sets of spelling on the book that don't relate to one another for gosh knows reason.
Okay.
And some
what two languages you mean?
Yes, or written in different wording.
Okay.
Considering, and some of the words that are on the pages start leaping up and going up. Diana's. That's her who she portrays, Diana.
Yeah.
And so the writing kind of goes up her arm, and unexpectedly, she gets branded by one of the pages.
Talk about a naughty. You shouldn't read naughty books, folks.
Yes. And the interesting thing about this scene is that all the vampires, all the witches, and all the demons, which I'll get to them very soon, I promise, have all sensed something is off, like something is they're reacting
something
to
is
something
happening in their world.
Yeah, something weird.
They're all different, but they're all linked by the same sort of supernatural bonds, and they can feel a change in the atmosphere or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So the book is kind of speaking to everyone, and of course, being the scared woman who doesn't like to use magic, she puts the book back and decides to forget about it. But creatures start realizing this book is special, and they think that if Diana can draw it out again, then they want to be there to get a glimmer of
steal
it.
From her. Yeah.
Or just
Well, they want to steal it from her. They want to get it. So once she's got it, they can steal it from her.
Yeah, and this is where she meets Matthew, who he's reasons.
He's not a bad-looking guy for a vampire.
Yes, and Matthew,
he
wants to find out everything. He thinks the book will be able to explain a little bit more about why that their vampire be able to create more vampires for gosh knows reason. Why their blood is failing them.
There's some missing magic lore in the current culture, and they're looking for it. And they thought it might be in this magical text.
And the witches, they think that, well, a specific witch...
the witches don't want any more vampires hanging around for obvious reasons.
One particular witch is called Peter Knox, and he's one of those high witches of the Witches' Council.
Yeah, he's head of a coven or something.
Yes, and he wants to eliminate vampires.
All of them.
And
the only good vampire is a dead vampire. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, as we're saying, Diana soon meets Matthew, and she starts thinking of him as a stalker. He starts following her and watching her every movement. And I guess the same thing could be said for all the other weird creatures that have been following her around non-stop and trying to figure out why she...
Well, it is a university campus. There are a lot of weird creatures on any university campus.
Yeah, but they're all coming to the same library, probably not looking at the books, just happen to be there.
Oh, you mean the witches and other guys? Yeah.
Yes.
I thought you meant the students. Well,
Yeah, I imagine.
Have you ever been to university campus?
Yeah. Yes, and so Matthew, in the book, he kind of hangs out with her like several times, unlike in the TV series. That he kind of takes her to yoga classes, takes her out for lunch and breakfast and dinner.
I don't drink wine.
And he even explains why he does take her out for meals sometimes, because he says that if she's eating something or food, it would give him it would have a different reaction to her blood to make sure he doesn't so much as touch her, give her a different scent.
Oh, garlic.
Something
garlic prawns are good.
Yeah, because vampires, they naturally in this TV series, they naturally don't eat food.
Gee.
And in this one,
they kept true to the story that way, didn't they?
But they can eat certain foods, but they have to be a certain food temperature, meaning cold or not cooked at all.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Because it's to them, anything strong will just lose its taste perception, and which is explain why there's another thing in this. Matthew's likes certain wines,
Yeah.
drinks wise, and he likes the taste of them, of course, just like you taste blood. But I think that he does like the taste of wine.
Well,
I
he
get a
does
lot.
drink wine.
Yes.
Well, there you go. Then. I missed that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So he kind of hangs out with Diana for a bit, and he starts he tries to keep his distance in some of the series. He's a little worried that if he gets
he's a little bit that way. Sort of. He doesn't want to scare her off. I don't think.
yeah,
So.
of course, all her
But
friends.
he needs to. He has to make contact, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Really.
but all the time in this in this TV series, her friends, maybe and her aunts, all warn her to stay away from him because vampires are dangerous. They'll drain your blood. They'll like absorb your memories, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absorb your memories.
Yeah.
Oh, just like in the other Dracula movie we saw.
Yeah. Well, in this one, it's the same thing, which fits into it. Yes.
I don't even know what I've been thinking about. That would be very nice. No.
Yeah, and everyone is treating it as if should hate. They keep expecting Diana to hate them, and they start treating it like the witches keep saying, "Oh, he's a dangerous vampire. Stay away from him." Oh, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's all stuff.
Even Peter Knox, who tries to get her to come onto his side and try to get her to hand over the book to him because
he tried to suck up to her in the nicest possible way.
Yuck.
But he's a sleaze. I'm sorry.
He's a
sleaze
bag.
Come on, there's no other way to put it. He's a control freak, sleaze bag,
and a bigot.
And a bigot, and he'd make a great politician. I'll tell you right now, he would. No,
yes,
he's got all the hallmarks for politician.
Yes, he's a bit of a bigot, and for a time, in the series, when her best friend, I think her name is Gillian. She was a best friend of hers in this series. In the book, they don't have very many conversations except for
but it's
here and there.
based on the book, so they can develop it anyway.
Yeah,
like
in the book, it's in the series, Gillian, she gets it from Knox, I imagine, finding out that Diana's using her powers to make
Knox
her.
try to use Gillian to sort of work on Diana?
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
And he kind of says to her that most likely Diana's using her powers to further her career. And
as one would.
And this kind of sort of draws a wedge between the two girls, and it's kind of upsetting when you think about it. And yes, and she
besties not forever, not always forever.
Yes, and when Diana goes to her to try to talk girl to girl. Another thing about this, in the book, it says you cannot tell a lie to another witch. Like, if witches can't really tell lies to each other. Like
they have to tell the truth, do they?
Yeah, they have to tell the truth
to their... That is scary, too.
Because if they lie to their coven, I don't know what will happen, but it would not be good.
So, did you eat that last donut? No, it wasn't me. Aha!
It would have to be an honest truth, like...
something important.
Yeah, something important wise. And when Diana feels like she doesn't know who to talk to, and her aunts are no help because they keep telling her to do exactly what everyone else tells her to do to avoid Matthew, but she can't help it. She goes to Matthew and...
she's getting attracted to him, even though he's a vampire. He's right, like I said before, he's a good-looking guy. He's got that nice, dark, brooding look. Bit European.
Yeah, European. He's English.
He looks quite nice, actually. But he's got that nice...
Yeah.
He's got nice features. He speaks well. He dresses well. Any self-respecting witch will like him.
Bear with me, guys. He was in Downwood Abbey, I think it was.
Downton Abbey?
Yeah, and a number of other English shows over the years. So this kind of suits that period.
He's got that nice feel about him. He's a good actor. What's his name again?
Matthew
Good. Yeah.
It kind of works really well that he's got the same name, so to avoid confusion.
Matthew, yes. Oh, right. Okay, same name. Yeah, good.
Yeah. So.
What do you think his last name was Clairmont? Okay.
Yeah. I gotta admit though, that was kind of cute. I gotta admit. Anyway, she goes to him, and he and she confides in him all the things she knows about the book, and he in turn becomes very close to her.
A bit like he wants to protect her, he knows that the witches and the vampires don't get along.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a rift between them, but he's starting to taking an interest in her well-being.
But again, a lot of people keeps telling her that everyone tells her that vampires are not to be trusted, and
I've never met a vampire I didn't like.
Yeah, well, Diane trusts Matthew, even though the other people think she's acting bonkers.
Bonkers. That's a good word. Bonkers.
Yes. Anyway.
Oh, for our the English people said know what bonkers means, but the Americans might not. So bonkers means off ahead. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Crazy.
Yes. Soon enough, Matthew and Diane discover that her parents they guessed may have been killed by humans. Turn out they were being killed by witches, or a coven of witches that found out about something that may have had something in Diana's past.
And that's one of the reasons why they want to protect Diana. So Sarah, you know more about it than I do.
Yeah. Yes. So Diana finds the photos. She's really upset about it because it's really shaken her. Not mentioned in the TV series, but she also has one of those panic attack things that goes on in the book. Like whenever she feels overwhelmed, she starts hyperventilating or freaking out.
Well, yeah, hyperventilating, that's pretty heavy.
Yes. Well, freaking out is
freaking out. That's better. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I do that too. Around here, you wake up in the morning. You're at me. Your mum's at me. The cat wants breakfast. Honestly,
Yes.
I'm just like that.
Yeah. So when things get all pear-shaped, Matthew's decision is that they should go off and hide out at his mum's place down at.
Where is it?
I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to remember.
Does it really matter where she lives?
Yeah, actually, she lives in a sort of a castle or mansion down in France. A beautiful
that's
place.
right. Yeah, the nice castle in France.
It's very beautiful.
I don't know if she actually likes Anna. She's very standoffish. You think?
Yeah, she's very.
I mean, she says, "Well, okay, it's not a marriage made in heaven, so to speak," and I don't know whether it's going to work out. So, like any good mother.
Yeah,
I suppose worried about her boy's choice. Yeah.
Her reason, I think her name was
what's the name? You got it written down there. Who? Where?
Down the bottom.
Down the bottom where? Oh yeah, I can't pronounce it. Ma'am, it's Yazbo, Sabo, whatever. I don't know.
Well, just call her Mrs. Clairmont.
Yeah, Mrs. Clairmont or De Clairmont.
So Mrs. Clairmont, she's annoyed with her son bringing home a witch. The reason behind that is that witches killed Matthew's adopted father, who's a vampire, named Philippe de Clairmont too.
That's a bit rude.
And
the sins of the fathers and all that sort of stuff.
Yes, and so she's not really. She's anti-witch against witches.
Well, that'd do it. If someone killed you, I wouldn't like that person in their. I can't say Middle East or America or something, but if someone killed you in there from a particular race or political bent or something rather, I'd probably hate all the people like that.
Yes.
So I can understand that bit. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, so Diana understands this, and she feels like she finally confides to her that her parents were killed by witches, and somehow that kind of built a bridge between her and Mrs. de Clairmont for a bit.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah, and
the daughter I've always wanted. They've been waiting 200 years.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the council members, they're members of the vampires, the witches, and the demons. I'll take a moment to talk about the demons side to this.
Yeah, the demons are more like low life, sort of servant-y type.
Yeah, they're sort of they're normal humans, but with a set of they're wired differently to everyone else.
Well, humanoid, not humans, but they appear like humans. They're they have some of them have some powers.
Yeah, and here's a bit of thing I found online. They say that demons display a high creative capacity and are known for their extreme free-form thoughts and ideas, but live as relatively regular human lifespan. Meaning they're not vampires or anything like that. They just have extraordinary.
They're here for
abilities.
a short term, like we are, folks.
Yeah, and they have the ability to predict the future.
Some have the ability to predict the future, but they're apart from that, they're a bit of a low life, sort of a low caste. That's a word for it.
I mean, this is one of the reasons why in this TV series we don't hear too much about them for gosh knows reasons.
Well,
Yes. Anyway.
Why didn't they use werewolves instead of demons?
I don't know. I mean, throughout this the book series, they keep professing that there's no that werewolves don't exist in their world. Ask me, I don't know.
That's fair. I have to talk to the RSPCA about this. Yeah, come on. Yeah. I like werewolves. They're really nice guys.
Yeah, but I think there was
fleas though.
There might be some other magical creatures we will encounter in the sequel in the third series.
Oh, I hope so. They're not like Harry Potter, ghosts and goblins and pixies and.
Yes. So anyway, as our story goes, Matthew and Diana are having a wonderful time at the castle, and dancing, riding horses,
do you want to talk about the dancing bit?
Yeah, that was cool.
Bad filming.
Yes.
Do you want me to say it or you?
Let's discuss. You discuss it.
Okay. There's one part where they're having a nice little romantic dance in the ballroom of the castle. It goes something like this: they're dancing, and they do a take, and Matthew has his tie on, and they do a cut to the next
scene
perspective.
Next angle, I would say.
Just different, same dance, just a different angle to see the face is a bit different, and his tie's not on. Then do a cut to another angle, and his tie's back on again. Now, either he's a quick change artist, or they made a mistake.
Might be. I think that maybe it was never written in the script, or maybe it was written in the script, but he somehow forgot to do it.
But don't you have somebody, your prop master or the wardrobe person, whatever, saying that has to be here, that has to be there, and that's the clothes you're wearing for this scene?
Quite.
Aha! So someone let the team down a little bit, like Game of Thrones in the coffee cup and the plastic water bottle. Naughty.
Yes, well, that can happen, and it does, and it's annoying sometimes. So anyway, our lovely couple enjoy their time at the castle, and then somehow something horrible happens that prevents Matthew. That gets Matthew heading off back to Oxford. Somehow an evil evil vampire named, what's his name? His name.
That one there. That one, Baldwin.
No, that's not him.
Domenico Michel.
Yes.
Sounds French to me.
Yeah, Domenico comes visiting, or calling, as we call in English.
Or he just flew in?
Yeah, just flew in would be the best word for it. Although, from this story, they say that vampires don't fly in this.
Why not? That's half the fun of being a vampire.
They don't control elements.
Certainly saves on airfares.
They can run and jump really fast and everything, but the flying elements are for witches to control all that stuff.
How broom will travel. Okay.
Yes, so Domenico comes visiting and reminds Matthew and Diana about the coven. See, the coven covers that certain creatures are not supposed to have mingling, just to have no relationship with one another.
Yeah, it's like a bird and a fish can fall in love, but where would they live?
Exactly.
Ah.
Yeah, in this case, it's forbidden, all that, and I don't know what will happen if they would go against it. Although we'll soon discover that later on.
They get kitties?
I don't know. They just probably think that people will stare, or humans will discover that witches and vampires are walking amongst us, all that stuff.
But they are, folks. We know.
Yes, so Matthew returns to Oxford, leaving Diana in the care of his mother and his housekeeper and all that stuff. So he heads back, and Diana is a little upset. She even tells him how much she loves him, but at the same time, he doesn't want to even mention it, but he knows deep down he loves her back, but he can't say it.
You can't commit at the moment. Yeah, like a lot of guys, Yeah.
Yeah,
They immediately take you out and call you in the morning. See you later, bye.
Yeah, so Matthew heads back to Oxford, and he also discovers that some of Diana's blood that someone broke into their laboratory and messed up with their equipment. That has Diana's blood inside it to explain what kind of magic she may have inside her blood.
Yeah, somehow or other they think they can look at her blood and find out. A little bit like in Star Wars, got midichlorians. Well, they're the same sort of idea, unless they've got something in the blood they can see. Those little creepy crawlies in there, you know.
This brings me back to the book again. In the book, it said that Diana, whenever she, her parents encourage her to brush her hair or wash it or clean herself or just
whatever
or just do anything. Whenever she brushes her hair, she has to throw it in the toilet or in the garbage
to
avoid people knowing her DNA or knowing.
Well, that's part of it. But also, if you look into things like voodoo and stuff as well, if you make a voodoo doll of somebody, you have to take something like nail clippings or hair or something. So the witches and vampires might be able to do something similar when they're trying to put a spell on somebody to get something off their body so they can enchant them or control them or something.
Well, there's that too. That comes to mind.
Probably.
But they probably would like to know what kind of magic she obtains. And throughout this series, she even thinks that someone is watching her throughout this story.
The viewers?
Not just them. It's the vampires and maybe the witches. And even Matthew admits that these vampires and witches have been watching her all her life.
Okay.
Even her own parents.
She's a chosen one, like Harry Potter.
Who knows? Yeah. So as the story goes, Matthew returns there, and not to mention he finds out from his son Marcus that an evil vampire is searching for him, and his name is Gilbert, and his prodigy Juliet, who's obsessed with Matthew, the Juliet vampire. She's according to the story, she was groomed by her master or maker to love Matthew and be obsessed with him, I guess.
Wow, that's not bad, eh?
Yeah, she even...
Hey, guys, what do you reckon?
Yeah, in episode 2, I think, she attacks a terrorist, or not terrorist, a person with a similar name, and kills him because he has a similar name to Matthew, or spelt differently.
Or whatever.
And her maker punishes her for it.
She had to practice on somebody.
Yes, and she kind of... goes about and tries to find Matthew, but only to go home in failure.
Oh, shame.
Yeah, but I'll continue with her story later.
Anyway, carry on. This is getting exciting.
Yeah, so eventually, after a while, Matthew comes back and gives Diane the news that what kind of magic power she might display. But before we could do that, Diana displays one particular magic power where she was able to conjure up wind and rain and stuff like that, and it's really incredible. I mean, she kind of cried, and all this rain started pouring out of her and pouring down. And at one point, the water kind of went, in reverse and started going
upwards. Ooh,
that's a good effect. In the TV series. I don't know how she stops, but according to the book, Clairmont, Matthew's mum, she sings to her to make her stop.
Rock-a-bye, baby. No.
Well, it's a French song. I'm not sure.
Frère Jacques, frère... No.
Not go there. So anyway,
actually, I went out for
actually, according to the story, it's Old French, meaning not the language we are familiar with. Something goes way back, ancient one goes back.
Well, I don't know if it's an ancient French language. It could be an old song from way back when.
Well, they did say that the language changes from time to time, which I think is true.
There might be some regional dialects or something, like they did in Italy years ago.
Yeah, it makes sense, perfect sense when you think about it, because the writer of the Discovery of Witches, she's actually a historian, like,
That helps to get your facts right, hey, folks.
and she probably has a good idea of that the French language has changed over the years.
Well, Italy did. Italy had all these local dialects, so France might have had something similar. Because the Italian today isn't the Italian of, say, 100 years ago.
True.
Because they had all dialects in all different regions, and the people up north couldn't talk to the people down south. So, as a country, they were dysfunctional. So the government, whatever, king, whatever, decided we'll make a new Italian language that everyone could speak all over Italy, and that's where modern Italian came from.
Yes. So anyway, as we're saying, while Matthew's away, Diana gets a little bit more of a backstory from his mother.
His mother, yeah.
Who explains about how he was married and they had a child and they died, and Matthew tried to commit suicide, but he somehow gets revived by his adopted parents.
Lovely.
Mm-hmm.
That'd form a very strong bond, wouldn't you think so?
Yeah, and Matthew was a bit of, just like any other vampire who gets reborn into a world, probably feels a little bit upset that he couldn't rejoin his family, even though committing suicide doesn't really probably make you rejoin your family that in a good way. Just so you know, he kind of commits suicide. He kind of jumps from a chapel and stuff.
How does a vampire kill themselves?
Good question. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the same thing.
Stake themselves in the heart? Is that fire to themselves? So they cut their own head off?
Well, maybe they, maybe as we discussed in the Dracula movie, may fit into that.
Yeah.
Which makes sense when you think about it. You need someone else to do the killing. Who knows?
A friendly werewolf or a friendly demon or something or other, or...
X-nay on the werewolf thing, Dad, Mike.
We haven't got any werewolves in the first season.
Well, they're not in the book series either.
Oh, I like werewolves.
Sorry, Mike.
But all the other stories have got werewolves in them. They're supposed to be the helpers and servants of the vampires.
Yeah, from a certain different version of it.
From a certain point of view. Mm-hmm. Okay, demons.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, I'm not sure about the demon side. I mean, they're not servants to the vampire. And the only other one that does so much associate with a vampire is Matthew and his friend. Let me see. Oh yeah, now his name is Hamish Osborne, and he's a demon, and he is best friends with Matthew. He kind of even assists him with a little bit of with his problems here and there. Like, he's a very knowledgeable, demon.
A bit cracked though.
No, he's not cracked.
Oh, the other ones are.
Yeah. Anyway, he's pretty interesting.
Anyway,
as the story goes, Matthew soon returns, gives her Diana the information, and out of the blue, I think, he and Diana become mates or love or husband and wife. Even though it's mentioned in the book, a bit more of a detailed description of it.
I don't think it actually married. I think they did partner though. I think.
Yeah, because Matthew describes it as, he describes his and Diana's relationship or relationship as of like werewolves or wolves getting into relationships where
usually we can't mention werewolves and wolves.
Well, wolves anyway. He says he keeps using a lot of wolf analogies in this one, where he says a female wolf picks a mate, and it's up to the mate to decide whether to go through with the relationship.
Okay. And so the female chooses the male, and that reminds me that. An old saying: a man will chase a female until she catches him. Go figure it, hey.
Well, I don't know if it goes in more detailed. Anyway, he says to her that from this day forth, we are one, all that stuff, and they clasp hands and they get into a really awesome kiss. And the next moment, we hear Mrs. de Clairmont scolding both of them for going through this and saying that she doesn't approve, but she'll stand by their side and fight their fight and all that stuff.
That's a good mother would.
Yes, and
even vampires can be
she
good.
Kind of tells Diana that from now on, you are my daughter. Hint, hint.
Isn't that lovely?
Yes. In the book, it describes it more detailed that, and even Diane wasn't sure about this whole mating thing until Matthew lays it out for her. And she's a little surprised. Like, at first she thinks, wait a minute, are we married? Oh my gosh, we didn't get down.
Where's the engagement ring? Where's the wedding ring? Hello. Yeah.
All that stuff. Of course, when we get to the nitty gritty bit, Matthew doesn't want to jump into what just yet.
Well, jump into what?
Sex and stuff.
Oh, sex.
He decides to do a bit of bundling. I don't know if you guys understand it.
Bundling, I believe, is cuddling and stuff in the old terms.
Yes, and it's pretty interesting, and it's a lot more interesting intimately in the book. I'm not sure about the TV show, but it looks really good from where I'm sitting.
Bundling.
Yes.
That is a word. Bundling.
Yes.
How about... Snuggle? Snuggle's better?
Yes, but they still do the odd cuddle, stroke,
Snuggle?
and a bit of
Stroking?
and nipping around the earlobe, all that stuff.
Oh, like the cats and dogs do. Yeah. Well.
Yes, and soon enough, Diana goes for a run or something, and she gets
Spittle girl.
and she gets kidnapped by Satu, an evil witch.
Warlock witch, whatever.
Yeah, witch.
Witch, yeah.
Who abducts her and tries to peel back a layer or two to find out all her magical abilities.
That's right. Yeah. She's trying to find out what makes it tick.
Yeah, and
like a little kid taking a clock apart.
Yeah, that sort of thing is the best word to describe it.
But the kid can't put the clock back together again.
Yeah, but she's not alone in this process. Somehow Gilbert, another evil vampire the same vampire I was described I told you about Juliet's maker, he's also there with her and wants to know everything he needs to know about Diana too. And it doesn't go so well because they don't find anything. Like, they find out that Diana is spellbound.
Is that like being housebound?
Maybe not. See, spellbound means like that. I know, but the audience doesn't know.
Oh, okay. Sorry, carry on. Tell the audience what spellbound means.
Yeah, so spellbound is sort of a spell where they bind all the magical powers in a witch.
But she can't use
them. So she can't use them. But, hear this out properly, guys. It's only used for witches who can't control it or are insane. Think about this, guys.
She can control it and she's not insane.
Yes, but that's the problem. I mean, why would her parents bind her if she's not insane?
Maybe she had too much power.
Maybe. Or the parents are hiding it from someone.
Possibly.
Which isn't mentioned next scene. So anyway, Matthew eventually rescues her, or she uses most of her powers to use herself to force to levitate out of the where she was placed in. She levitates herself out there with the help of her mother and father's ghost or hallucination.
No. Look, if it's good enough, Harry Potter's mum and dad can come back and different things and hey Harry.
They sat and talked to her about, or at least gave her a detailed story about Diana and her Dark Prince, and she gives information to Diana in code or something to explain that Diana has to fly out of there, not rely on Matthew to help her fly out. So in the end, she did fly out using her power to levitate out of there, and they head back to the castle to fix up her wounds. And they found on Diana's back a sign that's a crest on Diana's back that hints that she's marked for Matthew. Whoops, indeed.
I thought a wedding ring would have been appropriate.
Who knows?
Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway, they realise then that they're no longer safe at the castle and have to move on to Diana's family home in America, which is the last stop they make in this series.
America? Yeah.
Yes, and her home, of course, unlike the castle, is one's like haunted by ghosts and stuff.
Hey, groovy.
Yes.
I like ghosts.
Yes, by probably the family ghosts, because in the books you find a lot of old relatives of Diana's hovering around.
Well, there you go.
Kind of cool.
You're never lonely. You won't get much privacy though, will you?
Yeah, and so Diana tries to get as much information from her aunts, and they tell her that they don't. Apart from one of her aunts who's named. Let me see what's Emily. She tells her that she knew about the spell binding, and through flashbacks we discover how and why this occurred.
And why?
Well, it seems that Peter Knox was calling, and to check on Diana's magic when she was, say, 7 or 8.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And her mother and father, they had to spellbind her so that he won't find out her very true powers. Okay. So while Diana was, in her bed, her father slowly cast a spell to bind her magic, while her mother tells her a brief story about her and the Dark Prince.
Ain't that lovely?
Yes, and the next morning, or in the flashback, I should say, Peter Knox arrives. He puts his hand on the little girl, and I guess
he can't sense anything.
Yes.
Her midi-chlorians are low.
Yeah, it even mentions throughout the series that he knows that she doesn't have any powers, all that stuff. But I think that.
But now he's coming to realise he might have something up his sleeve. Mm-hmm. Not just an arm, folks.
Yes. So, then Diana finds out why her parents had to leave and possibly why they were killed. I won't tell you probably why, the full length of why.
Well, more will be revealed in the next season too, probably, because this is one of at least 3 seasons at this point in time. So we're waiting for the new season to come out.
Of course. So we soon enough. Marcus and let me see. And a lot of other people, including some demons called Nathan and Sophie arrive, and a lot of and they all sit around and talk about a little bit more about what's going on, and much later we find out that. Well, actually, before that, I should say, Diane begins to try to conjure up her magic again, but it's not going really 100% accurate. Because for some reason, she can't do it like the way Sarah conjures her magic for no good reason. She can't really cast say a spell and say it to really.
Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. It's not happening properly.
Yes.
Right. Okay, yeah.
But somehow when she, in one scene where she's getting really frustrated and wants to get out of there, she somehow teleports out of there unexpectedly into another part of the site.
Yeah. Whoops, there you go. So she can do it. Put some mind to it.
Yes, and
you can put your emotion behind it, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even throughout this TV series, they said that magic was desire made real, which hints that you have to put a lot of emotions into the magic.
Stuff. Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah, if you really, really want it and you're really feeling it and you want to escape, it happened. Mm-hmm. Now, if I say, gee, I want a cup of tea, and you sit and look at the table, it doesn't show up, you're not really enthusiastic about the cup of tea.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and so Matthew tries his absolute hardest to help her with this by helping her channel it, by using his abilities. And there was even when they were in one part of the woods when they were training, he tackles her and somehow she bleeds, and then she tries something that could either work or just shaking him up. She then runs and he starts chasing her, and she was able to levitate into the air because she needed a little bit more danger to make her.
Yeah, there you go then.
Yeah, and this kind of transforms into them, making love. I'm not sure if making love or this.
If there's any kiddies listening to this, turn off now.
Yeah, they kind of make a little bit of. I'm not sure if they made love or doing more bundling in this scene because.
Oh, it could have been a bundle of fun having sex with them. No, no.
Because throughout the book series, it's hints that they don't automatically have sex just right away. Because Matthew describes in the book that he doesn't like to rush things.
Saving himself. Oh.
Like he doesn't want to rush it. He wants to enjoy their courting as much as possible.
I thought he caught already.
Yes, but he describes it a little bit more differently than you do, Mike. He says that knights when he was knight in the old days, they didn't right away jump right into the sex part. They kind of courted and enjoyed their partners,
Oh, you mean talking and stuff?
Yes, and trying to get used to each other's body a little bit here and there. They didn't jump right into the
getting saddled straight away.
Right. or so Matthew says in this movie.
Okay. I believe him.
Book.
Thousands wouldn't.
Yes.
I heard about the Templars and the Crusaders and everything. They are unruly
Although
bunch.
throughout, Diana tries to push as much as she could to get him to get to the next level because she like most of us out there.
Frisky little girls, yes.
Yeah, well, like a lot of people out there who want to get stuck into it.
Anyway.
She's no different.
Okay, stop dwelling on the sex aspect of it, okay? Enough of the sex.
Well,
it's about a story and relationship building, not 50 Shades Dark or 50 Shades of Grey. It is.
Or 50 Shades of Red Blood.
Red Blood in this case, but
Yeah, so they get along really well, and Juliet, the evil vampire, that's the evil rival I told you guys about. She gets wind that she has her boss, that she doesn't want to have anything more to do with Gilbert and wants to go off to get Matthew and probably kill him in the process. So she goes off down to the to Diana's down to America, finds them, attempted to rip probably Diana's throat out and to find
cat fight. No.
Well, it's more than that. I think that she's more annoyed that Matthew chooses Diana over Juliet, even though Juliet was made everything that Matthew wanted. Even though there's no doubt Matthew likes Diana a lot more.
Well, she's pretty, athletic, interesting, charming, intelligent.
Yes.
What more could a person want?
True.
Sex.
True.
No.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, you were talking about sex
Yeah.
before.
She even tries to try to use her vampire abilities to get a reaction from Diana in a way, but for some reason, she finds that Diana's more enticed and interested to dear old Matthew boy. But then, in her anguish, Juliet just comes out and slashes at Matthew's throat.
Are you going to tell the whole story? Are we going to leave anything for the viewers?
Sorry. But luckily Diana stands up to her and does...
He got an ingrown toenail, folks.
Yeah, but luckily Diana steps in and kills Juliet dead. Although she was aware.
Okay. If you can't tell the whole story, they won't be encouraged to watch it.
Sorry. But I do admit, though, that Juliet she's a weird character in this movie. I mean, in the TV series. In the book, she's very less detailed. Like, Matthew describes her in detail that she was a spy and his lover, and she was planted there for him to, get to know and hang out with. And Gilbert was going to be getting a lot of information from their family.
Are you finished telling the whole story, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
No.
We are running out of time here. You're telling the whole. You're telling the whole series.
Not really. I mean, there is some stuff I have left out.
You have reserved some, have
like,
you? Well,
like the fact I haven't mentioned much about Peter Knox's other witch that joined the witch council named Setu. I won't tell you too much about her.
Well, why don't we tell the people to watch the series, and they
Well,
and pick up all the
I'll
other
just tell you
pieces.
my final bit of these of the series. Through I mean, in the final scenes, they discovered that they couldn't be able to get Diana a teacher in this lifetime, so they decide to travel through time to get to in hopes of probably finding a possible teacher in the
past.
in the past.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
in what's the to I don't know the era. It must be in it's either the Renaissance or the
Tudor?
the Tudor era.
Old English.
Yeah, that era
Tudor,
where most likely will be a good place to start to find a teacher and maybe even find the book that they're all looking for, and maybe we'll bring it back and try to find out what's the problem. What's with it?
Yeah. Now, do you want to wind up that part now? But otherwise, you have the whole story out on a plate, and
well, haven't. I mean, I am looking forward.
They bought a cat,
Yeah, I can't wait for the season 2 because I love traveling and I like to see what kind of reaction Diana will be like when she goes into that era. Like, how will she behave? How will the actual people in that era will feel when they were around her?
Well, obviously.
Considering that she's
she'll be dressed a bit differently, and even if you had the clothes, you're going to talk a bit differently. You won't understand the customs.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Well, that's what I mean. She's American and not being nasty or anything, but American English is different from
old
Tudor English.
Ye olde Englishy.
So she's gonna have a lot of training to do to make sure that no one's gonna be acting weird around her.
Anyway.
Which is probably one of the reasons why I'm so excited about the season 2. I just hope it comes out soon, eventually.
Well, now I was going to go on to that.
Okay, go for it.
There is a season. There is a season 2 and a season 3, hopefully approved. Now, season 2, I don't know when they started filming, but I believe it's getting towards the end of filming. But some of that has to be done in Italy. Now, at the moment, we're in March 2020 when we're doing this podcast. Italy is locked down because of the coronavirus, so they put the project on hold for a bit until the virus scare is over, so that people won't get infected, which is a good thing. Okay, don't get me wrong. So they can't. There's no fixed release date yet. So hopefully by the end of this year, the second season will be out, and hopefully by then they'll have plans to start filming the third series. Now, there are 3 directors involved in this because they've got multiple locations. They're doing some filming in England and Wales, obviously, and
Venice,
and in Italy,
and France, maybe.
Well, but France may not be. See, that might be just an Italian castle or something. But the main locations are in England and Italy, and Italy's slowing things down a piece of moment because of the virus. So we hope everything goes well with the project because everyone's hanging out to see the next installments on the series. Now, we did say earlier that it was actually released on Sky One in the UK back in 2018 in September. It's been released in America and other places now. I've got a list of things here because I don't know what they are because they're different countries, so I don't know what they all are. So bear with me, I have written them down here. Now, the program premiered in UK and Sky One in September 2018. With its first series, blah, blah, blah. Streaming on Now TV has also started at that time. The international distribution of the program is handled by Sky Vision from January 2019, and it's become available on AMC subscription services, Sundance Now, Shudder, and AMC Premiere. So, hopefully, guys, you can find it somewhere. It's out there.
Snore.
No, it's out there somewhere. So it is out there. And obviously, it's an online thingy. You won't be able to buy a copy of it necessarily. So look around for your usual download sort of what do you call them? Streaming sites.
Streaming sites.
Streaming sites. And look for it because I mean all in all, I mean, I'm not really into this long-going series, which goes on and on and on and on. But this isn't too bad. I like it.
Yeah,
The acting's good, the costume's good, the sets are really good and convincing. It falls into place. So yeah, it's not like we're trying to make it work. It just does. What do you think?
Okay, Ray.
Yeah, I think it's pretty damn good. I think it's great. Apart from that little faux pas with the dance routine, I haven't seen anything else wrong with it. So
yeah,
but
I like it.
that's a little mistake.
Yeah, well, I do like it when they film on location. I mean,
yeah, locations are brilliant. I love location shoots.
Yeah, I mean, it does annoy me that sometimes that people prefer doing it all CGI and don't really go overseas
And green
to do
screens
it.
and stuff. And no. I mean, when we do it, I mean, to me, I'll go back to other things. There used to be an old English production company called Hammer, and they used to do lots of old, I wouldn't say cheap, but low budget horror movies and that sort of thing. And they used to go on site to castles and villages in England and did the filming there on location. Now it gave to me as a viewer, seeing the movie, a better feel. The atmosphere was better. It didn't look like a soundstage. It looked like a real castle because it was a real castle. Sometimes there would have been a couple of sound stages made up for some things, but in all, everything was done. If it was out in the woods near a little village, it was filmed in the precincts of a little village. And they used to use the little village to be the backdrop of the story. So it just made it a lot better. Yeah, instead of trying to make something work, it's all there. Anyway, irrespective. Yeah, they've got it. They've got the castles, everything. Yeah, everything else is, there's only one location. It looks great. There's a little bit of studio work, I think, in there, though. But
I imagine there is,
little
but
bit.
you can't do without it.
You need some.
If you can't do certain things.
Like that library and that, so that might be a studio scene because
well, actually, that's a real library.
Yeah, but some parts when they're interacting and doing naughty things and running around and doing stuff, they might make up some parts of it. So people won't annoy people using the library.
True.
Yeah, damage anything. So those sorts of things they might make up. But yeah, in all, it's all location shoot and it's great. It's got a good feel to it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to season 2, as you already know. But I do hope we get to see a lot more interesting, locations.
Yeah, we can presume possibly that the first season's out 8 episodes, so one could presume that season 2 and 3 will probably have a similar amount of episodes. So we're in for another 8, hopefully, in season 2 when it comes out, and that'll help develop the story quite nicely.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get a bit more of a dive into more information we missed out in the first season.
Yeah.
I'm hoping anyway, guys.
Yeah. Actually, by the way, if any of you can hear a bubbling in the background, I'm distilling some water here at the moment because I don't want to risk any bugs in my water, so I am being very, very careful. So yeah,
that, and we have a cauldron in the background.
A cauldron? Well, okay. Hang on, I'm doing the laundry. There you go. But no, yeah. Hey, I was going to tell you a joke. It's about witches.
Okay, go for it.
There's 2 guys are talking in a hotel, or a bar, and one guy says, the other guy says, yeah, my girlfriend's a real witch, you know that? He says, oh, come on, she's not. No. And the first guy says, no, she really is. The other night we were driving down the road in my car, and she put her hand on my knee, and straight away I turned into a motel. Oh, well, I thought it was funny. Well, there you go. A bit of a chuckle at the end of the show. So
if you're listening to this, do not listen to the weird man in the same room as you are.
I must be a demon. They're eccentric.
Must be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. The demons, I can never work out what they are most of the time.
I prefer the demon in Lucifer. Maze is really good. I like her.
Yeah, but we still. I mean, I don't think they're the type. I don't think they're demons like demon. I think they're just a different set of people.
Yeah, I know. They're not people. They're like humans. They live like humans, but they're not really humans. But they've integrated into a human society.
It's just it's not like demons like red horns or pointy tails or.
Well, Maze doesn't have a pointy tail.
Well,
I've never had a good look, but
well, I just mean that it doesn't seem like it's implying that it's that. I mean, it's mentioned. There's hints of it, but it doesn't feel like they're real. They don't really, and they're not like
they're not like the romanticized demons you read about.
They're not possessing human beings. Like
they're not like the ones coming straight out of the fires of hell sort of stuff. These are like
I think
dumbed down versions of them.
I think they're just a certain set of people who are dumbed down by society.
No, they're not dumbed down by society.
Throughout the
if they're demons, they're demons. They're not human beings.
In the TV series, they're considered the lowest of
in the witches and vampires.
Because the witches, the vampires are more established, while the demons are just the lowest of the low, meaning they're not established. They
don't have any real power.
They don't have real power. They don't really. They don't have a big stand in the community.
They don't live
that's
forever.
The word for me.
Yeah, they've got nothing. Yeah.
They have no big stand in the community, meaning that they're not. They're barely noticed, or people don't care enough about them.
That's a bit rude, isn't it?
It is a bit rude.
They must feel very upset, shunned by their own kind. Yeah.
Well, not shunned by their own kind. It's just that.
Witches and vampires, they hang out together.
Even Nathan, one of the demons, he's trying to put together sort of a group, a club group thing, on the computer to get them to socialize and try to get their story across.
Oh, lovely.
And
they should do a podcast.
Funny.
No, okay.
But anyway, they try to get their voices heard, even though his mother whose name's Agatha, is too busy to even care to take any interest in what they're doing. But when she finds out that Sophie is going to be pregnant, she finds out that she might be a witch.
I thought we were finished talking about the story.
Sorry.
Okay, you slipped straight back into the story, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
You can't help yourself in this one.
See, in the story, Nathan, there's a side story in this one where Nathan and Sophie, who are a married couple, they're going to have their first kid, and they find out that maybe, just maybe, it's going to be a witch. When they're actually demons. Both of them are demons. And Sophie admits that her parents were witches. So there seems to be a lot of mix, maybe some of their cultures are mixing and accidentally creating some other species.
Do we have an intermission for 15 minutes and come back and do another hour, or are you finished?
Okay, let's rate this thing before I hit you with my broomstick.
Your broomstick?
Or my...
I'll stake you.
Nah.
No,
okay.
I won't do that. No,
okay, let's rate this thing, okay?
Okay, now, look, I like it. I mean, it's a TV series. It's made for that sort of market. So it's not a big commercial like the really fantastic blockbuster movies, but it is what it is. It's a television-made production. So as a television-made production, I would say it's quite good. I'd say it's about a 9-ish. Nice. Yeah, I like everything comes together with it. It's good.
Yes, I probably would give it for a change of pace, guys. I give this
1?
No.
Oh, 2?
A 10 out of 10. So
well, you know why? The hot guy's the lead man in it. She likes him.
It's more than that, Mike.
She likes
Matthew.
Matthew
does have a.
He's really good.
He works well in the role, and the same I could say for the girl who's playing Diana.
Yeah, she's an attractive young girl.
And the characters.
She brings a part to life.
Yeah, and the characters who play each individual role throughout this movie, and the locations that come to mind.
Yeah, locations are excellent.
And story.
Okay, so that's 10. Hey, folks, that's a record. We've never done a 10 before on these podcasts.
Yay!
I'm waiting to do a 0, and I know the exact movie, but she doesn't want to watch it.
So let's give us a good hand that we found a 10.
Yay!
Yes, so even though Mike doesn't want to award this as a 10, I think that this deserves a 10 on us.
Yeah, well, they made a mistake in the movie and in the show with their continuity.
Well,
they made a mistake with the props or the costume.
well,
I mean,
that scene.
I'm not going to give them a 10 out of 10 if they're making mistakes.
Yes. But I'll let it slide just this once, guys.
Okay,
if it does it again with a coffee cup in
then we'll bring it down to
the
an
Turian scenes in the era, I'll then
yeah. If the Turian era is wearing his Rolex watch, there's a problem, folks. Okay.
Yes. So if they do that, then I'll say. Well, I'll rechange my vote then.
Yeah. So you got to be. I mean, you got to look at I look at the whole lot and then say when you got little mistakes that are happening. Which I must have been. I didn't notice the first time I watched it, but it was brought to my attention. I now look at yes, they made a mistake, and I mean that's carelessness due to. I don't know who was in charge of that part, the director or the costume person, or somebody on the floor working the continuity or whatever, the set manager or whatever. Someone has to take responsibility for keeping things right. And they definitely made a mistake there. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason why I graded it down. Don't get me wrong, I think it was good. Mm-hmm. But I would have given it a 10 otherwise.
Yeah, so if it wasn't for that sort of thing, I probably would have labelled it 9. But for the other stuff, like location, costumes, acting, and...
Acting's believable, yeah.
And possibly the special effects that come to mind.
Yeah.
I'm going to definitely label this a 10 without the mistake they did in that scene.
Okay.
I can let it go if you guys can let it go.
Well, okay, it really, if you're not watching it, if you blink, you probably won't notice it. But somebody else didn't blink and saw it and told me about it. And it's sort of like in the Game of Thrones. I did not see the Starbucks cup on the table when I first watched it. I didn't see the plastic bottle stand beside next to one of the guards in the lineup. I mean, okay, I was looking at what was going on, not for every little piece of junk hanging around. So yeah, you're going to miss it if you're not looking for it. It's not a problem.
Yeah, it was a bit of a mistake.
Now, we're going to wind up in a minute because these people want to go to bed.
Okay. So thanks for listening, guys. So till next time, I hope you enjoyed our review on this one. So I'll see you guys next time. This is Sarah Stephenson saying, see you around.
Goodbye.
Bye.